Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm Mr. Allen there, Mr. A, first grade teacher, Vice President of the Teachers Union, GTA, Gonzales Teachers Association. So thank you for coming. This is not a debate, this is a forum. Our 5 candidates, unfortunately, one is not able to make it, as of not yet. And we'll start with the prepared questions that they have, 2 minutes each. And then if you have any questions, there's a table in the back. You can write down questions and they will select which questions will be read, so we don't have repeated questions. And si necesitan traducción, tenemos las máquinas allá atrás. If you need translation, we have the translation machines and we have a professional translator. So Mr. Dennis Mars from the League of Women Voters will be our moderator. And thanks everybody for coming. And I'd like to thank the candidates for giving the people of Gonzales a choice. This is with the American system.
Okay, thank you, Dave. We have 5 candidates running for 3 offices. The way that this is going to be organized is that we'll have opening statements by all of the candidates for up to 2 minutes. And then we have 5 prepared questions that they have seen for a week, and they will in turn come up and answer those. The order in which they speak will be rotated, so the opening statements will start with Rosa Sanchez, and then the first prepared, and then going down from right to left. And then the first prepared question will be answered by Maria Cuervas, and then going to her left, and then circling back to Rosa Sanchez. So each one will have the opportunity to go first, and each one will have the opportunity to go last. After the time limit, which we're going to try to squeeze it in by about 7 to end by 7:10 this evening. We will have closing statements of up to 2 minutes, and we will start on the other end with Monique Martinez, and then going from left to right. Okay, so
We're also videotaping, so if anybody who's not here would like to access the forum, these gentlemen are filming it, and they'll be able to access it online.
Okay, thank you. In the interests of getting through as many answers as we can, we'd like the audience to hold their applause until the very end, and then we will give everybody a rousing round of applause. So let's start, and for the 2-minute opening statement, and the first person to speak will be Rosa Sanchez.
Trade. You could just trade the microphones. There you go.
Good evening, and I'd like to thank all of you for being here this evening. My name is Rosalie, also known as Rosie Sanchez. I'd like to thank the Teachers Association for organizing the forum and all of those that are helping with it.
Right, can you point the microphone toward your mouth? Closer, like this way? This way?
Okay, better? Okay, again, my name is Rosalie, also known as Rosie Sanchez. And again, I'd like to thank all of those that put the forum on. A little bit about me. I grew up here in Gonzales up until the 4th grade. I went to kindergarten when it was at Fairview, and then we transferred over when the Gloria was new, and I went here up until the 4th grade. And Gonzales was always my home, and I'm back. I've been back now for about 20 years, and I love every minute of it. I've been active in the community, and I'm on the school board. I'm the president of the school board, and have been on the board for, this is the 5th year. I have enjoyed it. It is a challenge at times, but the most important thing are the students of the district, and that's what we focus on. Part about what I do in the community, I'm a director of the Lions Club. I'm the president of the Gonzales Chamber of Commerce, and I belong to many organizations. I was a retired school employee. I worked in the school district in Salinas for 39 years. So I have a little bit of knowledge of the educational system. I was also president of the California School Employees Association, and I have been endorsed by the California School Employees Association as well. And I'm really excited about being here and answering the questions today. Thank you.
That's all right, he's new. Okay. Maria Cuadras.
Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, good evening. My name is Maria Cuevas, and I am honored to be one of your Gonzales Unified School District candidates for school board. Thank you all for coming out tonight and giving me an opportunity to share my goals and expectations with you. I grew up through this district and have a special bond and kinship with the people and families in this community. I have seen this community change as I've grown and navigated through life. And I've learned the things that made me. I've learned the best way to affect change is to be a helping hand in my community. I have worked for several years at Gonzales Unified School District, and as a parent and a community member, I am aware of the importance in my involvement, not only for my children, but for our student body. If elected, I will work hard with my fellow board members to help meet the needs of all Gonzales Unified family, with children being our primary focus. As a member, I will collaborate with board colleagues to develop plans and ideas that are in our children's best interest. I will support admin and office staff, including support staff, to execute the district's main focus of educating, supporting, and nurturing our children from the tiniest in our district to the 12th grade students ready for college or life. My goal is to utilize all the tools and resources available in order to help the district accomplish this task.
Next will be Ms. Flores.
Hello, I'm loud and generous. I really don't do this, but my name is Gonzales Flores, and I am currently an appointed school member, appointed unanimously by the board, but also with the assistance of two beautiful students named Sydney and Fabi. I did not fully grow up in Gonzales. I came here my 9th grade year and was a product of Gonzales High School. I went to Hartnell, went to Sac State, became a social worker, and I chose to come back to Gonzales. My goal was to come back to my community and to provide the services that weren't always available for the kids like me growing up being a teenager in a small town. I'm currently a psychiatric social worker, and I predominantly work with probation youth. And one of the things I see working with the population I work with is that some of these issues start when these kids are in a very young age. And now that I'm a mom and I have two beautiful but crazy children, age, how old are they, 8 and 10, my involvement has been more in the school. And being involved in the school, I've learned. Because as a parent, I started off with just not knowing anything and having the kids go to school, and hopefully my kids will learn. And little by little, I realized that as a parent, we truly need to be involved in this process. And as a school board member, that's one of my priorities, is connecting with parents and making sure that parents know to get involved, that parents have a voice, and parents can advocate for their kids in this district. And so if elected, I will continue to be doing that as I do that now. Thank you.
Next, Ms. Martinez.
Hello, my name is Monique Martinez. I was raised here in Gonzales. I've lived here my entire life. District is all sunshine and rainbows. I'm here to tell you that I was failed by the district, and that is why I'm running. I graduated from the Salinas City School District because they decided to help me. They decided to pick up the pieces that Gonzales left. I realized the failures and all of these broken pieces that the Gonzales District leaves behind when these children are left with nothing. And we need to fix this. Everyone says they care about the children, but in reality, what are we actually doing to help? I have a business administration degree. I've been a special education advocate for 4 years. I've worked with children, and I've seen in other cities how we can actually help them. And I want to bring that back to our small town, and I want to see us actually strive the way bigger cities do. And I know we can do that. We just need to move forward in the proper direction. With the proper aids, we can truly thrive. Thank you.
The first prepared question will be answered first by Ms. Cuadras, then Ms. Flores, then Ms. Martinez, and then Ms. Sanchez. The question is, what
And why we are not a preferred candidate for employment.
Ms. Flores?
So as a parent and now a board member, I feel that one of our greatest challenges is communication. I feel like we continue to have an issue with being able to communicate what's going on within the district to our parents, specifically our monolingual Spanish-speaking parents. I've been to countless meetings, not just as a board member, but as a parent, where I know monolingual Spanish-speaking parents want to be more involved, they want to participate, but the fear of not being understood because translation may not be available, or documents aren't translated, our website's not translated in Spanish. These are what may seem like minor things become huge things where we need parent involvement. And the district runs well, but it runs better when our parents are involved in the process. And so for me, what my experience has been communication.
Ms. Martinez?
I think the biggest issue in the district is loyalty. Gonzales Unified School District has no loyalty to its teachers. One of the greatest examples and the biggest loss to this district was Mr. V. Pretty sure you all remember what he did for this school. Yet where is he now? He's Principal of the Year in Salinas. What did you guys do? Where was, who rioted, who fought, who did anything for him? He's gone. We lost one of the greatest administrators. And yet, Mr. Pernsley, who allowed me to be sexually assaulted by a teacher and got promoted, is still here, is a shame. And this is what Gonzales Unified School District does. These are the people that you guys continue to employ. You have no loyalty to the good teachers and the good workers here, but you keep the bad apples. This is the biggest issue Gonzales District has.
Ms. Sanchez?
I'd like to repeat the question. What do you see as the greatest challenge facing the Gonzales Unified School District, and if elected, how do you plan on dealing with it? What I see as our greatest challenge is inadequate funding from the state. However, Gonzales District has many challenges, such as the need for a new school. I believe that a new school on the east east side of the freeway would help alleviate overcrowding in classrooms. Traffic probably would be traffic from dropping off students and picking up students would be relieved some. Also, another possibility, maybe Fairview could change from 6th to 8th grade. Those are just possibilities if we had a new school. Challenging our students in academics by providing them the best academic courses to prepare them for universities is a goal that we must continue to strive for. Parent participation at times may be a challenge when an event or meeting is at a time when parents are working. Finding solutions for all to participate is something that we can continue to work on. Thank you.
The next question is, as a member of the Board of Directors, how do you plan on holding the superintendent accountable for the district's direction? We'll start with Ms. Flores, and then Ms. Martinez, then Ms. Sanchez, and then Ms. Guerra. So go ahead and
So as a member of the board, how would I plan to hold the superintendent accountable? So one of the things I've learned as a board member is that the one employee we have is the superintendent, and making sure that we work together as a team to ensure that whatever goals the superintendent has in place, that those goals are met. Making sure, and how do you know that the goals are being met? Well, our scores are going to be better, school climate's going to be more positive, not just within the students, but within the teachers. The moods are going to improve, things within the school system will be improved, and everything will be aligned to where it's all working together. The proof is in the pudding. If the school district is running well and our kids are excelling academically and our scores are improving, and the scores and grades are congruent, everyone's doing a good job. And, I work with the superintendent to let her know that it's either a good job or something needs to improve. But that's the one person we can hold accountable, and that's how it would be done. Thank you.
Ms. Martinez.
I think the best way to hold the superintendent accountable is by not giving her pay raises. There is no reason she should be given a pay raise or even be paid more than a teacher if she is not treating her teachers right. If our district is failing and our teachers are not making a living wage, if our teachers are suffering, then she should be too. Because that means she's failing at her job and she did something wrong. If our children are complaining, if our parents are complaining, she should get a pay cut. Money speaks, and that's the only thing she seems to listen to.
Ms. Martinez, or Sanchez, excuse me.
Holding the superintendent accountable. As a current board president, I attend weekly meetings with the superintendent to discuss the district progress and areas of concern. Communication for all our board members is priority and has kept us up to date weekly on the business of the district. Reports from the school administration as to student activities and the academics of the students is updated at school board meetings. Parent participation is also reported to the superintendent and the board. The school board is committed to asking questions and expects answers with a positive outcome. As a school board member, I will hold the superintendent accountable.
Ms. Cuevas.
As a board member, I will always approach the superintendent with respect and patience, as good communication is key to any successful plan of action. I will work with fellow board members to evaluate not only superintendent, but Gonzales Unified School District staff as a whole and ensure all staff is held accountable for their positions and role in making our district successful. I am committed to vetting information for all matters presented from the district.
Question 3. Employee turnover of teacher, support staff, as well as site and district office administration staff is a major issue facing GUSD. What are your thoughts on the recruitment and retention of qualified teachers, support staff, site and district administration, as well as substitute teachers? So we're going to start with Ms. Martinez, and then we will go to Ms. Sanchez, Ms. Cuervas, and Ms. Flores. So we'll start with Ms. Martinez.
I cannot speak to substitute teachers because I do not know exactly how their pay works. But for permanent staff, I can say that they do need pay raises. Like I said, most teachers do not make a living wage. Most support staff does not either. And secondly, they need more benefits. You hear about it from across the country. School staff are suffering. And it's sad because these are the people that we should appreciate the most. You guys are raising our children. You guys are creating our future. And yet no one is thinking. Yeah, you get the parents that send you guys the apples or the little gift bags or, you know, the Starbucks card at the end of the year. Or my favorite thing is to send flowers to my kids' teachers on Teachers' Day. But what is the rest of the country doing for you? You guys need benefits, especially a retirement plan. Because when you're teaching our kids for multiple generations and then you leave here with nothing, that's pathetic. We need to set the standard for the rest of the country. If we start here in our little town, we can set that standard, we can make history. And I think that's what we're supposed to do.
Ms. Sanchez?
Staff turnover is a great question and topic. Teachers teach from the heart, no matter what school they're working at. Sometimes they need to make decisions to leave a school where they're working to live closer to home, such as in Monterey, Salinas, or King City. Housing in Gonzales has become more and more difficult. Other school districts offer more money, more incentives with seniority, because a teacher shortage is not only in California, it's national. This year in several states, teachers walked out because of their low salary. And that we have gotten the picture, and we understand that teachers deserve a fair salary. Teachers teach from the heart, but they also need to have a decent salary. There's also a shortage in support staff. For example, school bus drivers. Now districts are offering incentives for our bus drivers to go to another district. They give them extra cash and extra benefits and more hours. As a district, we need to support our staff, including substitutes, by providing a good salary to travel to Gonzales to sub. Another item we can do is possibly look into housing for our teachers or our staff. Thank you.
Ms. Cuervas?
The recruitment process is always going to need ongoing refinement. As time changes, so do the qualifications and requirements of skilled individuals. I would work to see that most of, if not all, of these refinements are a positive addition to the process. The retention of qualified staff is a huge must. We need to ensure staff are skilled individuals that will help the district expand and prosper. The retention of qualified teachers, admin, and support staff is easily one of the most important objectives for success. Having overworked or severely stressed employees is a strain on the entire system of a functioning district. As a board member, I would like to be present in all exit interviews to understand why our teachers or staff decide to leave.
Ms. Flores?
So retention and recruitment, I think, is an issue in all school sites. I think if we're going to have really good teachers that are qualified, we need to have competitive salaries. Our district needs to be a competitive district that people want to come here. And we need to welcome teachers that have not just the credentials and all the right paperwork in place, but that have passion and innovative ideas and aren't afraid to share them. And we need to be a district that welcomes passionate teachers, and we need to welcome their ideas. I think for the substitutes, I do think we need to have a competitive wage for substitutes. We need to have good substitutes. And those good substitutes, we need to fight for them, and if that means a competitive wage, that's what we need to do. I think we also need to have incentives for our classified. I mean, our classified, they work hard too, bus drivers and custodians. And we need to validate them and appreciate them just like we do anybody else in our district. It's like a family. You take care of your home, you take care of your family will take care of you. And I feel like as a district, it's the same function. And as a board, my job is to work with the district, the superintendent, but I like talking to my teachers. I mean, I have great teachers right now, and I have conversation. I ask, hey, how are you guys doing? How's it going? You know, and if there are concerns, I don't have a problem addressing those concerns with the superintendent. I think people who know me know very well that I don't shy away from addressing issues, and it's done respectfully. I believe in looking at two sides of every story and working together as a team. Because if we don't work as a team and we don't unite and work together, this isn't going to work. So we need to start to working together and figuring out how we're going to keep our good teachers and good staff.
Could the question sorters bring up a couple of questions? Okay, question 4. With the violence in schools today, what measures do you feel would be appropriate for the GUSD to take? For example, police/resource officers on campus, arming teachers, etc. We'll be starting with Ms. Sanchez, and then Ms. Cuervas, then Ms. Flores, and then Ms. Martinez.
Violence in schools is a very sensitive subject. While I am not ready to approve arming teachers, I know that we must take care of our students and our staff. If money were available, I would rather invest in state-of-the-art emergency door locks, state-of-the-art cameras and alarm systems. And we would provide, and we do, provide our staff with the best training on how to deal with school violence. It is important to have the best communication with authorities so that in an emergency situation, the response time would be quick. I believe that having resource officers on campus helps alleviate fears for students, staff, and parents. Gaining the trust of each other is always a good thing. Our partnership with the city is a good start, and working together, we can protect our community. Thank you.
Ms. Cuevas?
Well, I believe we have good kids in our district. We've had minor issues and some fights, but overall, the district has a good action plan with our school resource officer and also offering ALICE training. So continued education about school violence can further keep our kids safe and issues low.
Ms. Flores?
So, as a social worker and advocate and someone who works for the juvenile justice team, restorative justice SROs are controversial right now in California. However, Gonzales is not like any other community. We're a small community and we know each other, we know our officers, we have a great partnership with the city, a great partnership with the police department, and because of that, the SRO on campus knows our kids and works well with our kids. And I believe that making sure that we work together, not just with the city and the police department, but making sure that the people who are working on our campuses are fully trained, not just in the ALIS training, but also trained in what we call, mental health training. A lot of the violence that you see is always blamed on mental health issues. And so I believe that we need to bring more information, more support, more training for our teachers, for our subs, for our supervisors, for our officers. Anyone who's working on campus should have some form of basic training on what mental health is and what adolescents go through when they're going through a mental health crisis. Because just shoving them to the police and having an officer deal with that child is not the solution. There's a lot of things going on with our kids. They have easy access to information. The internet is at the palm of their hands, and secondary trauma is always there. And we need to make sure that our staff and people who are working on campus should be trained on how to handle a kid who's going through some emotional crisis. And for me, that is a priority because that's what I do for a living. And I see these kids get locked up. And we don't have kids who should be getting locked up and in juvenile hall. We have a great community, we have great parents, and we have great adults, staff, teachers who want to see the same thing.
Honestly, we need better mental health training. We need to have mental health professionals on campus because if we start arming teachers and having police officers on campus, the only thing you're going to create is distrust. Kids don't want to talk to teachers with a gun hiding under their desk or talk to a police officer that they know is going to call in a 5150 as soon as they say that they're suicidal or, they feel like they want to punch their friend out. No, they just want to talk it out. And if we start threatening them that we're going to have an officer, they're not going to say it. They're going to keep it in and they're going to let it fester, and that's how we end up with all these problems. So if we have mental health professionals on campus, guidance counselors, therapists, anything, they're more likely to talk it out and less likely to act upon it. And if we stop treating them like thugs or that emo kid or that suicidal kid, stop putting labels on these kids, they'll talk to us. If we treat them just like children, like the kids that they are, individual people, they'll talk to us about their problems. Because it's the fact that we're putting labels on them that makes them hide from us. Thank you.
Question number 5. At a time of dramatic change and stress, students and staff across California's public schools need safe, caring school environments. Supporting students and staff requires integrating systems of support from mental health to family engagement and trauma-informed strategies, while developing partnerships across schools and communities. How do you, as a possible board member, plan on addressing this issue? We're going to start with Ms. Cuervas, and then Ms. Flores, and Ms. Martinez, and then Ms. Sanchez.
My goal is to recommend or provide training to all staff, including parents, who work one-on-one with students who need intervention, ensuring that students and school staff develop a strategy to create respectful and supportive relationships. I would like to see Gonzales Unified School District collaborate with county services and nonprofit organizations to help strengthen the mental health services we provide for our students. It's important to have more counselors available to reduce the heavy workload on each counselor and allow them to more readily address emotional issues. This would prevent us from having to react to an incident of on-campus violence by simply being proactive as soon as a student feels frustrated.
Ms. Flores?
Okay, so this is hard for 2 minutes. This is my soapbox. So I'm a psychiatric social worker. I'm a therapist with the county. So this is what I do. One of the things I have to say as a therapist with this county, I'm very aware of all the resources available for youth. However, South County seems to be the forgotten region. South County doesn't have as many resources as the Peninsula, as the Salinas and North Monterey County have. And I'm not okay with that. And in my job, I'm a big advocate for making sure that services get brought to South County. As a board member, I would encourage and I would push the superintendent to make sure that our staff and our parents are able to attend trainings provided by the county MCOE and that relates to mental health. I think, you know, we live in a day and age where people should be aware of what a crisis is and what suicide looks like, what depression looks like, and then refer them to the right people. So that goes to the second. We need more support for the schools. The counselors aren't therapists. They're not equipped to handle mental health issues. So we need to make sure that we provide the resources and have the county or hire a few therapists to work in the school sites to deal with the kids who are having mental health breakdowns. That is how we reduce violence, that is how we reduce bullying, but also that's also how we involve the parents, because one of the things that therapists can do is do family therapy and family groups. And in this community, we're too small not to involve our parents in what's going on with our kids, because everything starts at home. And that's what we need to make sure that is addressed, and we need to provide the district and its staff and its teachers with those resources. And push the county services to make those resources come to us, and push the superintendent to make sure that she's advocating for our district in getting those resources over here. Thank you.
Ms. Martinez?
I was groomed. I was alone, no friends, and that's when a substitute teacher told me I was his favorite student. I was allowed to sit at the front of the classroom with him. After a few months, I was sexually assaulted. You know what school did? What Medina did? She expelled me. An officer came into the classroom. It was Mr. Roach's classroom. Came in, escorted me out, took me to Mr. Kernsley's office, where I was told that I would no longer be allowed to return to Gonzales High. I was 15. There was no therapist, there was no counselor, there was no help, there was nothing. I was thrown out and left alone. And guess what? Here we are, almost 10 years later. He's still there. Medina just barely got fired. And where is this safe and caring school environment? I want to bring that to these kids because I know that children are still being victimized in Gonzales High School. I've heard other complaints of girls being sexually assaulted, and you guys know that before I was a victim here, that Dinwiddie was out there sexually assaulting cheerleaders. So we know that there's decades of sexual violence and sexual predators in this school district that no one's doing anything about. So I want to bring the police in, and I want to have them do an investigation of the entire district. And I want to bring in mental health professionals.
Now we're going to questions that have been submitted by the audience. Oops,
One more.
I'm sorry.
Do I need to repeat the question? At a time of dramatic change and stress, the first question or the first word that came to my mind was trust. Trust is the first word. When a parent sends their son or daughter to school, I believe it is done with the intent and the trust that the teacher, the bus driver, the cafeteria cook, the health aide, and all other staff are providing a caring school environment. Providing professional development days for staff training is important so they can be prepared for any disaster or trauma situation that they may encounter as a staff. Our schools must be safe, and for that reason, we do need to collaborate with the city to maintain safety for our students. There are many agencies that can assist the schools, but we as a district and a community need to work together for the mental health of our students and our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to the questions from the audience. The questions are addressed to all of the candidates. We don't give questions that are just specifically for one candidate. And the questions have to be applicable to the duties of the office. So those were two criteria that the question sorters were going to use. And also it appears that people in Gonzales have very good handwriting because I can read these. It's wonderful. All right, so we're going to start off with Ms. Flores, and then Ms. Martinez, Ms. Sanchez, and Ms. Cuervas. You'll have 2 minutes to answer the question. If you want to slowly walk up while you're thinking about it, that's fine too. Okay, the first one, aging buildings, classrooms, bathrooms, and cafeteria don't adequately meet the needs of 800 plus students and faculty at La Gloria. In the past, bonds have failed to raise money for upgrades. What will you do to address this issue of aging facilities?
So I was just having this conversation today at the Wellness Committee because I'd like to eventually see 5th grade back here at La Gloria, as it should be with the elementary age children. And one of the questions I asked is it because our cafeteria doesn't hold the capacity of the 5th graders? And there wasn't a really sure answer. And so I do agree that we have ancient facilities, but as I'm learning, on this side of the fence is that these are not issues that we can just easily fix. I do think that we need to make sure that we stay on top of our budget to make sure that we can address our facility issues and start with maybe the sanitary facilities, like the bathrooms and the cafeteria, right? There was a conversation about having hand washing stations here in the cafeteria. So as a board member supporting, even if it's a small improvement, I mean, small improvements matter. So if we can do small improvements, making sure that those small improvements are done and making sure that we include parents and to be involved in those committee meetings to hold us accountable and making sure that we're getting those facilities taken care of. But I know that the facilities is an issue. There's no real answer that's gonna make it go away, but my ultimate goal is to get the 5th graders over here, and if we need to expand something, we need to expand something, but that's probably one of my first visions for our facilities and more.
Ms. Martinez?
So, there's been some questionable numbers in the budgets. When people were questioning whether to fire Medina, I know there were some questions about her embezzling money. I know there's been some questions about a coach losing track of some money. There needs to be an audit. People are losing money left and right in this district, and nobody seems to be keeping track of it. So there needs to be an audit in the district. And then from there, we need to go step by step on figuring out budgets. And we need to go to our local farmers. We have big farmers here, and yet none of their names are on these buildings. So I question that, because Taylor Grimes love putting their names on buildings. That's how Salinas has their buildings built. That's how we need to get our buildings built. Yes, our buildings are outdated. Our classrooms are too small for the number of children we have. So we need to start asking our local growers for them to start funding our schools.
Ms. Sanchez.
Okay, I have to be honest. When I heard the question and it said ancient buildings, you know what came to my mind? I went to that ancient building. And I love the fact that that ancient building is still there, because that is home. And if we need to fix it, we'll fix it. But to relieve or help solve the problems, I believe we need a new school. And where does that new school belong? Possibly on the other side of the freeway, to the east of us, to help with the situation of enrollment or oversized classrooms. And how are we going to get the school? One way to get it is a bond, a clearly written bond that will specifically tell you where the money is going for a school. And the only way that we are going to get a school is with the community's input, with the community voting and agreeing that they want a new school. Thank you.
Ms. Cuevas.
I actually had the same thought in my brain as Ms. Sanchez here. We definitely do need a new school. I don't know what else to say. I agree with Ms. Sanchez that we do need a new school for our community. Thank you.
Okay, the next question, we'll start with Ms. Martinez and then go to Ms. Sanchez, Ms. Cuevas, and Ms. Flores. The question is, if a community member, parent, staff member approach you with a complaint regarding a staff member or the superintendent, how would you handle the issue? Yes, you are going to become a public official.
So I believe in having an open conversation. I've experienced this a lot since I've put my name on the ballot, is people like to come up to you and yell at you. Or people like to go on Facebook and tell you nasty things. So my thing that I've been doing is saying, let me buy you a cup of coffee. Let's sit down and let's have a conversation. Because I believe that having a conversation can get to the root of any problem. Having an open dialect can solve anything. Most people don't do it anymore. Most people have a shouting contest, or a fist fight, or fight on Facebook or Twitter, or that's what our president seems to like doing now, is Twitter battle. And I think we need to have a face-to-face conversation and sit down and talk to each other like people, like human beings. No yelling, no name-calling, no judgments. Just a nice, simple conversation to get to the root of the problem. Okay.
Ms. Sanchez.
If a community member or a parent comes to me with a concern, I definitely would listen. But I would not automatically give them the answer. I would ask them to go through the channels to give everybody through the channels the right to try to resolve the issue or come through a solution. Whether it's with the teacher, go to the teacher first, the principal, and it goes on up the channel all the way to the superintendent. I want everybody to do their job. If it gets to the superintendent and the superintendent doesn't do anything, I respectfully would want that parent or community member to come back. Remember, I will keep the superintendent accountable. Thank you.
Ms. Cuevas?
So following the letter of command and allowing everyone to do their job is definitely something that we should all do. And also evaluate and investigate to help the parent or community member come up with a resolution for their concerns.
Ms. Flores?
So I'm in the field of listening. So that's kind of one of my best traits as a therapist. But having come from both sides of the fence, now as not only as a parent and community member, but now as a board member, I've learned that when we have an issue that we need to address, if someone is unsatisfied, be it staff or be it a parent, we need to make sure that the processes are followed. As a school board member, I work for the constituents, right? I work for you guys, the people who vote me in. And so I'm always going to listen, but what I do in my job is I don't make promises I can't keep, and I think I would do that too with anyone who wants to have a conversation with me about a problem. I wouldn't make a promise I couldn't keep. I wouldn't guarantee that I can fix something when I know I can't, but I can have a conversation with you. I can talk to you, and if there's a channel or a process on how to deal with that, then that's what I would suggest. And as a board member, if it's a serious issue, the superintendent is our employee, and that's who we have a conversation with. So I would show up, bring her some coffee, and let her know, hey, this is what I'm hearing that's going on. These are some of the issues parents are talking about. What have you heard and what's being done? And so the key thing is we have to have an open dialogue, but as board members, as I know for myself anyways, is there's no way I can promise that I'm going to make your complaint go away. But I can make sure it's talked about, discussed, and somehow someone is notified about it. Thank you.
Okay, the last question. If your question didn't get asked, we will be typing them up and distributing them to all the candidates. So the last question is, let's see, which one was I going to pick? Oh, this one. What are your thoughts regarding the new school, or a new school? Do you support a new school bond? Where do you believe a new school should be located? And we'll be starting with Ms. Sanchez, then Ms. Cuevas, then Ms. Flores, and then Ms. Martinez. Oops, yes?
I think they all pretty much answered that question already.
Okay, that is true. Well, does anybody like to make a further comment on it?
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to speak.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, you do want to answer, okay.
Actually, it's a wonderful opportunity to bring it up again. I strongly support a new school. It's time Gonzales has a new school. I'd like to see Fairview Middle School be a 6th through 8th and the 5th grade, possibly going back to the elementary. Although it's not just my decision, it's the board and the community will help us with that decision as well. But I strongly feel that it's time that we have a new school, and where are we going to get the money? Ag companies were mentioned. There are a lot of ways. Bond is the #1 way to get money for a school. Once a bond is passed, remember, it's your school. It's not the board's school. It's not the superintendent's school. It's your school, and it's your decision if you want a new school. Talk to your neighbors. I think it's time for a new school. Thank you.
Ms. Cuevas.
My idea was always to have K through 6 at La Gloria and at Fairview, and then move the Fairview students to the high school and build a new high school. Just not sure how all that would work out, or where we would place a new high school. But that was always my idea that I've expressed with other parents and colleagues. Thank you.
Ms. Flores.
So I'm for a new school because I'm over the traffic, right? I'm for a new school where we put a new school wherever it fits. I'm not really familiar with what properties and what's available here in Gonzales, but if we can fit a school on it and we can afford it, or however it's done, let's do it. As far as the bond, I do support a bond, but I was sitting where you're sitting when our last bond happened, and I have to tell you that if we're going to do a bond, we need to make sure that the bond is well communicated. We need to make sure that the community understands what the bond is saying and what we're voting for, because I don't feel that the last bond was well communicated, and therefore it didn't pass. Goes back to my last thing, challenge, communication. We need to make sure it's not just communicated to the English-speaking community, but the Spanish-speaking community too, because they are also voters. So we need to make sure that everyone is aware of what the bond is. Is that it? Yeah. Okay.
Hello. Okay, so here's the thing. The last one failed horribly. The money disappeared, nothing got built. So this one needs to happen. The bond needs to be well written. None of this work around where the money goes into the general fund if the bond expires, or they can use the money if it's not needed for something else. We need a well-written bond where it says exclusively that this money will be used for a new school and nothing but a new school. Because if we lose more bonds like we did before, we're never going to get a new school. That's how we keep ending up in the place we're at. The other thing is, we can do it like Tatum's Garden. We can charge people to buy a door. For the new classrooms, have them purchase a door, and they can decorate it and paint it the way they want. And, we can have a community build. Get our community back into the school. No one thinks of that. Our community stopped being a part of the schools a long time ago. And I think a new school is a great opportunity to bring them back in. Have students paint the walls, decorate the halls before the class is open. I think it'd be a wonderful idea to have a new school. Thank you.
Well, that concludes the round of questions, and we will have closing statements. And we'll be starting in a little bit with Ms. Martinez, and then we go the opposite direction to Ms. Flores, Ms. Cuervas, and then Ms. Sanchez. And while you're thinking about your closing statements, I think I'll just read what you didn't get to ask so everyone can hear it. So, do you see yourself primarily as a representative of the community or a representative of the school board? What is your experience with economic budgets? What qualifies you as a good candidate, and what makes you stand out? Now, listening to all of you, you're all outstanding. What do you think the school district how do you think the school district should address the needs of students who are neglected academically, but they are not low-performing students? In our classrooms, all means all looks more like none until all practices. So, thank you for submitting those. Okay, we'll start with closing statements, 2 minutes, and starting with Ms. Martinez.
So I just wanted to go over some of my qualifications again. So I graduated from Hartnell College. I have an associate in business administration. I've been a special education advocate for 4 years. I'm a single mother of 3 special needs children. I'm a humanitarian. I work with animals, lost animals. I do spay and neuters for community cats. I am in the teaching program at Hartnell College. I'm trying to become a special education teacher. So education is really important to me, especially for those who don't quite fit in what is considered neurotypical bubbles. Those children are really amazing, and if you ever have the time to spend with someone who has special needs, they can show you that life is so much more than what you see on a daily basis. They can show you that life is this beautiful, colorful world. So, yeah, those are some of my qualifications. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate you guys listening to me today.
Ms. Flores.
Okay, so first and foremost, I am a mom. That's the bottom line. I am a mom and I am a parent of this district. And as a school board member, I want to answer that one question. As a school board member, I don't rep the school board. I represent my community, but I also represent my kids. And I always have that mentality, if I represent my kids, I represent your kids. Because if I want right for my kids, that means that I want right for your kids, right? As a teenager, I'm gonna be straight. I didn't like Gonzales. I didn't like living here. It was boring, it was small. But I came back because here, raising your family, as someone who works within the county and knows the county and the kids in the county, Gonzales was the #1 spot to live and raise family. We live in a safe community, we live in a tight-knit community, and I believe we should offer everything and anything to our kids. I mean, I took a group of girls to go see the Dolores Huerta. Opportunities like that should be available all year round for our kids. There's no reason why our kids can't succeed and receive the education equally to some of these other kids in affluent neighborhoods, right? Our education and what our kids have access to should be different because we live in Little Gonzales. Our kids should be graduating, ready for college, ready to go wherever they want, whether it's like me, Hartnell, UC or CSU, wherever they want to go. They should leave here prepared to do so. And that's how we flourish. And hopefully they come back and raise their families here. And we continue to grow. We plant the seed. And I truly believe in that. And if you know me, I'm opinionated. Nobody else influences my thoughts. I make my own opinions. And as a school board member, I'm learning. I'm also humble in learning that this is not an easy thing to be. So, thank you.
Ms. Guerras.
Well, I'm not very good with words, as you can tell by my last responses, but I have passion, and I care, and I'm a parent. And throughout the years in my career at Gonzales Unified School District, I developed more passion, understanding. I don't know how to explain it. But I'm here for my community and my students that I met throughout the years, all the teachers. I'm your advocate, I'm your voice. That's why I'm here. And I thank you guys for giving me that opportunity to be up here.
Ms. Sanchez.
I'd like to start by saying I am proud of our FFA students, our band students, all our students that are in sports, drama, and all of the other activities that they belong to. I am proud of the staff for all of their efforts in promoting our students. I'm very happy to see parents here tonight. I want to share that I attended the last 2 football games here in Gonzales. And the feeling of community at the football game was wonderful. Seeing all of the families there, seeing that stadium full brought warmth to my heart. The students did that for us. They did that for our community, and I am so proud of our students. What makes me a good candidate? I have an associate's degree in behavioral science. I have been a restorative justice commissioner for Monterey County. I have served on the Monterey County Civil Grand Jury, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Let's give all the candidates a wonderful round of applause. And thank you very much